Hello, fam, faves, likes, and loves, and those souls I have yet to meet. This is Jeffrey DeShawn, the Inspired Muse, with your Tuesday morning pep talk. Now, as we kick off Black History Month, this week's pep talk is claim your joy. Yes, claim your joy. If there's one thing that I have realized throughout the ups and downs and ebbs and flows of life is that we must be our own pace setters for our life and living, that we cannot continue to look to the right and look to the left and peek behind us and anchor ourselves solely in our jobs and in institutions and in community organizations and clubs and external people and relationships. We have to be the pace setters for our life. And that is so true in particular during times that I recognize in these moments, particularly talking with coaching clients, friends, and family, where there's high anxiety because there's high expectation of change. When you're coming out of a period of high trauma, as many and most are looking at last year, not just 2020 with COVID, but really in the most recent years, economic trauma, financial trauma, political turmoil and chaos that's just caused all kind of disruption in people's lives. And when you come into a period of change where you now expecting of change, you can be easily set back. Your joy and happiness can easily be diminished because change doesn't happen overnight. Just because there's been electoral change, a new president of the United States of America, and there's COVID vaccines that are now being made available, doesn't mean that there's not going to be a bump in the road, that there's not going to be a pothole, a road collapse, a major storm down the road as we travel into the wheels of change, as we manifest change. And because of that, because change doesn't manifest overnight, because nothing manifests overnight, we have to be intentional about claiming and owning and holding on to and sustaining our joy through the change process. Because joy doesn't just sort of fall down from the heavens like magic. It doesn't. We have to be intentional about seeking it, wanting it, and then we have to acknowledge it, recognize it, then acknowledge it so that it can be fully manifested in our lives. We are the authors of our own joy because we have to, one, want joy. We then have to, two, know what joy looks like and can look like in our lives. Then we have to recognize it when it shows up and then be willing and consistent about acknowledging it when it is present. And so I encourage you, pivot your gaze, pivot your focus from that which we know to be, right? In the ebbs and flows of life, there's lots of negatives. We know that COVID is here, and we know that we have lost many souls. God rest their souls, and I pray for their spirits' transitions, and I pray for their families' peace. We know that there's sickness and illness flowing. We know that there's economic crisis flowing. We know it. It doesn't mean not talk about it. It doesn't mean not try to solve the problem. But hey, the solution to the problem isn't in the pain or the trauma. The solution is in the win, the joy, and the happiness. So we need to focus on our joy and repivot ourselves so we can focus on solutions for our lives. So instead of focusing on the deficit things, the negative things, let's be intentional about claiming our joy. Start your day this week, this month, declaring what will bring you joy. I will find joy in my commute to wherever I'm going today, in the stillness, in the silence of that moment, and listening to the radio in the car and getting some energy and air to people watch and gaze. I'm going to take peace in that and find joy. It will not frustrate me, not bring me anxiety. My children will bring me joy today because their laughter is going to crack me up. I will not be frustrated by them. They're going to bring me joy today. I will find joy in the work that I'm blessed to do. At minimum, I will find joy in the fact that I have a paying job or occupation that is providing some resources, even if not all that is needed, some resources to cover the expenses of my living and existence. I'm going to find joy in that. I'm going to find and see joy in the birds chirping out my window today. I'm going to find joy in the sunrise and the sunset. I'm going to find joy in the literal breath of life that's flowing through my air because so many no longer have it. Be intentional Pick 2 or 3 things throughout your day that have brought you joy and show gratefulness and gratitude and thanks for them. Pick 2 or 3 things throughout your day that you're going to be intentional about seeking out and finding joy. That could be your favorite meal being available. That could be your grocery store having your favorite lemonade. Whatever that is, that could be getting a chance to see or talk to a friend, a loved one. But be intentional about focusing on the joy just as much as we're intentional about focusing on the chaos, the anxiety, and pain. And here's the reality. If you find yourself being intentional about claiming and declaring and acknowledging and recognizing your joy, you're going to find more joy. And you will find more joy than anxiety, frustration, fear, and pain. And in that, and finding joy, discovering joy, and finding sustained and developing sustained joy, you know what I'm about to say. All things are possible and nothing is out of reach. Be the pace setter for your life and living. Be the architect of joy and happiness in your life. Get specific, get intentional about what brings you joy, what will and shall show up in your life and living today, this week, this month, and claim that joy. I'm Jeffrey DeShawn, the Inspired Muse, and that's been your Tuesday morning pep talk. Go forth. Claim and manifest your joy. It's within you, and therefore it's yours to bring out and share with the world. And there's nothing nobody else can do about it. Have a great week, loves.